If you had told me Tennessee would win, okay, I could picture that. Tennessee's probably they should win down there, but we've all seen the Gainesville thing enough times that I wasn't going to pick it. But if you'd told me they would lead 31-0 at one point and just absolutely do everything right all night, shades to me of the 1995 streak-busting win at Alabama when the Manning to Kent first play, and it's like, yeah, just relax, this is the night. If you told me that was going to happen, I wouldn't have believed you. I wouldn't have seen 31-0 coming. Unbelievable. Will, like me, you and I have said for years, we'll believe it when we see it.
Yep.
Well, we saw it. Thoughts on the game?
We did, and it was the best game of the year by the UT offense and defense. I mean, they rushed for 248 yards. Wouldn't have thought they'd been able to go over 200 yards. They held Florida to 2 of 9 on third down. They only committed 4 penalties for 25 yards. We had 0 turnovers. That's winning football at its best right there. I just looked at this game, and it was the first game I'd seen on the road where it looked like their communication was working. They were able to change plays. You didn't see those nasty penalties going down to the clock winding down. So it looked like the first game that I've really seen in a big-time, especially night game in the SEC, where your offense was able to really work like you wanted it to work. And that was a big change. So I just, hats off. It was a great game plan. They obviously knew what Florida was going to come out and do. They took it to them, and really was one of the best games I've seen them play this year.
Marlon.
John, I knew this was going to happen, man.
Yeah, on the Saturday show, you picked them 30-17, so you were the closest to the pin.
Yeah, I had it 30-17, but I didn't know it was going to get that ugly that fast.
Yeah.
This was a game plan where Josh Heupel understood the magnitude of this game. He's been hearing the chatter as what I saw last night. He's been here, from all of us. Hey, we got to go win this football game, or we can't win this football game. He put together the perfect plan, and he wanted to blow the doors off the football game. And he actually could have done that, but man, I would say, man, he did a great job. The coaching staff did a great job. The guys understood the passion behind this football game, and they knocked the air out of Florida super early. And left no doubt that, hey, we are the better football team. We are the better football team in Gainesville tonight. So great job by those guys.
Multiple interviews yesterday talked about the fact that they prepared a video, and with VFL Films, you can imagine it was a pretty good video about the history of that series, because you've got so many guys coming in now that didn't know the history, and he said it really fired them up quite a bit. So, Bob, your thoughts on that win in Gainesville?
I think after you went through the Oklahoma loss, the open date, kind of a lethargic game against New Mexico State, I was thinking, okay, Tennessee's going to go down there, and Florida just needs a little bit of a spark, and this becomes a ball game, because they got a little bit of a spark the week before at Ole Miss. They beat Texas. And what Tennessee did, just absolutely crushing them from the get-go. I think when it was 14-0, I thought this is almost over. And at 21-0, I did think it was over. And you know me, I never think a game is over. And so when it got to be 21-0, I just thought, okay, this is done. And Florida did look like they kind of just sort of, this is what it's going to be. But the impressive thing about it, too, and we talked about it on the show last week, it's not like Florida doesn't have athletes. It doesn't like they've got players that are comparable to Tennessee's, and so a real compliment to Josh Heupel on how well Tennessee's guys played up to a level that they're capable of, whereas Florida's just looked like, okay, you got together Monday and tried to play a game on Saturday.
So you're saying the Vols wanted it more.
That's what it always comes down to that.
Josh, your thoughts on the big victory?
Yeah, the thing is, both teams wanted it going in. Florida players made it clear, we know about the streak, we don't want to let it go.
Crowd was loud and into it.
Yes. This was kind of the last thing they could do this season, was at least this Florida team could end the season saying, hey, we kept the home streak alive against Tennessee. But Tennessee went down there and took it to the Gators immediately. Great opening drive. Defense gets a stop. Florida made mistakes. Tennessee didn't make mistakes. Florida has that holding call that brings back a 40-plus yard play where they could have gone down the field and scored and tied the game, and then all of a sudden, hey, do we have a back-and-forth game?
Yep.
But Tennessee gets a stop there after the mistake by Florida, scores again. It's 14-0, and I think both sides could feel, hey, we're in control on Tennessee's side, and we're in trouble on Florida's side.
Good producing. That's where I was going next with the fact that, we said a few weeks ago that Oklahoma game, the strip sack. If that doesn't happen, does Tennessee just go on and win that game? And I think we all said yes. I'm not saying they would have lost if that holding, but how many of you, the 43-yard run where nobody can tackle anybody, how many of you are sitting there like I was going, here we go. here we go. It's going to be back and forth. But they get the holding call, and it was like, you're not good enough to overcome that.
Yep.
So I thought that was a huge play in air, and it was a legit holding call. It's just, dumb play on their part, which is why they're 3-8 now.
Yeah.
In terms of the culture, what does this say? We're talking about Tennessee coming out there, and you had guys who were banged up. That we asked the question, how many business decisions are you going to have?
Yep.
Didn't see a lot. Didn't see a lot of business decisions. You saw guys out there, even Wendell Moy, who was banged up against New Mexico State. I don't know that he played more than one snap, but he came in there when Sanders was down and they needed a guy in the backfield on that trick play. Now, they wound up calling a timeout. Not a trick play, but the funky formation. Moy was out there, which tells me everybody was like, hey, you need me, I'm ready to go. What does this say about what Heupel has built here? Because there are a lot of fans who said, you're not in the playoff, wasted year. His team obviously didn't feel that way.
I think he's –
Go ahead.
I think he's done a great job. And, again, you see that because all the things you just pointed out. But then also making sure these guys understand the passion behind this football game. Because now it makes it bigger than yourself. It makes it bigger than, hey, I'm a little nicked up. It's now, hey, we got a chance to go do something special. And I got a chance to do this with my group of guys and for our coach that's been picked at and saying, hey, you can't win this football game. So that right there, I think from a coaching standpoint, that's one of your biggest challenges is making guys in the locker room believe in something, especially in this NIL portion where everything has to be about yourself and there's agents involved and all the rest of that. So these guys obviously did a great job of like, hey, we're going to do this thing together. Whoever's needed, we're going to show up. We're going to be ready to roll.
And for a game, it did answer the question, which you were just talking about, that in this day and age, does something like a bowl game and getting to 10 wins mean something to players anymore? When you've got the playoff and anything short of that is considered failure, okay, then what else is it? And for at least one game, it did look like Tennessee's guys, okay, getting to 10 wins, breaking the streak at Florida, that sort of thing, it does mean something to them.
Thoughts on what it means?
Yeah, I think just in general, it's got a strong culture. I think that's what everybody's described. What he came in and took over was a bad culture, right? Everybody talked about that. Everybody's out for themselves. He's put in some things that even in an NIL day, where you have to do is align everybody's selfish motivations to the team motivation. And he's been able to do that. Looking at this game yesterday, I have to say that was a great job in getting that team motivated and ready to go. And when you're able to do that with a bunch of guys and a lot of different personalities in this day and age, that's an accomplishment in and of itself when you're able to get over that hump.
Yeah, I thought it showed a rise in the standard of the program where, hey, maybe we're not going to the playoff this year. Maybe that's not going to happen. But we can still get to 9-3 and not be 7-5, not lose to Florida again. And also I thought there was a respect to the fans and the former players, too, because they talked leading up to the game and afterward, hey, former players, this was a big deal for the fans. They celebrated with the fans there. I thought that was a pretty big statement from the culture of the program.
Yeah, went by after the game and gave the high fives to the fans that were down there, and Heupel talked about it after the game. You've now won 3 out of 4 road games in the SEC this year, and I know it was Mississippi State, Kentucky, and Florida, and those aren't great records. You guys have played in the SEC. That is not easy to win on the road, especially when we talk about the fact his offense typically isn't quite as good on the road as it is at home. So to win 3 on the road, that's pretty good. But for this team, the one thing that's positive is, they don't have the playoff. They couldn't get Georgia, couldn't get Alabama this year. What are you going to be remembered for? Well, you're going to be remembered now. You're the team that went down and snapped the streak at Gainesville, and that is a forever thing. Hopefully you start a streak for Tennessee winning down there. But to be the group, how many times have you heard the name Casey Clausen this week? Because he was the last quarterback to go down there and win. So this team, which may have, they endured a quarterback leaving in spring practice. Your 2 best corners were hurt this year. You didn't make the playoff, but you snapped a pretty big streak, and you're going to be able to put that on the team's, I don't want to say epitaph, but, the monument to your team. Hey, we did this, and that's pretty good.
And the other thing is, and you removed a guy on the team that you didn't think was living up to those standards this week, and your team still came out and played.
Good point.
Sometimes that can be a problem area where if you remove this guy, the team looks at it and has a bad feeling about it. But obviously he knew how the team was feeling about it, and he made the right call, and he said, hey, we're going to move on from this guy, and we're going to move him out of the program.
Which just underscores, again, that culture part of it.